Cashew Energy Company, I think you should cut off your video. Cashew Energy Company, you need to cut off your video. We are seeing your bare breast. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a very good morning to all of you, our distinguished speakers from Ghana and Nigeria. A good afternoon or a good evening to our friends who are joined from Middle East, India, Vietnam, and rest of the world, and a very good day to all of you. My name is Vatsa, and it's indeed our pleasure to host you all to this Trade Talk Series 1 for the year 2023. We are in the midst of the crop season in the Northern Hemisphere. And within that, the most important region being West Africa. So as a first part of this series, we are very, very honored and pleased to have with us people from the government from Ghana and people who are representing the industry from Nigeria to come and share with us about what is the crop scenario in these two very important origins. This particular Trade Talk series is brought to you by cashewinformation.com. And as on yesterday, we had about 399 people register for this. Now that shows the importance of these two origins for the cashew community. And that also, in a way, reflects the current situation in the market. Therefore, this information sharing session with these two important origins for cashews, namely Ghana and Nigeria, would help us all in our business and in our season going forward. We have 2-hour session. We would have a series of short presentations starting with Ghana. We will have 2 speakers from Ghana who would give us about the current season and also an update on the crop development plan, starting with Honorable William Kweto, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Tree Crop Development Authority of Ghana. For some of you who are not familiar with Tree Crop Development Authority, they have been the regulating body for the tree crop sector, of which cashew is a very important crop. The second speaker from Ghana is Mr. Foster Boateng, who is the Deputy CEO in TCDA, who is in charge of the operations. And he is going to talk to us about update on cashew crop development plan in Ghana. After these two presentations, we will go through with two other presentations from Nigeria, starting with an update on Nigerian cashew season 2023, along with the cashew development plan by the president of National Cashew Association of Nigeria, Mr. Ojo Ajanaku. And that would be followed by the present state of cashew processing industry in Nigeria, challenges faced by the processors and how to resolve them. This will be done by Mr. Onekian Victor Okolo. He's a CEO and the chairman of the Cashew Processors Committee of Nigeria. We would have then the vote of thanks, but as we have very important dignitaries, I would stop here and request Ms. Susanna Yohanna to introduce our distinguished speakers from Ghana.
Hello, good morning.
Very good morning. I can hear you. Please go ahead, Ms. Susanna.
Okay, thank you very much for this opportunity. This morning, we have Honorable William Ejapon Kwetu, the Chief Executive Officer of the Tree Crops Development Authority with us. Honorable William Ejapon Kwetu was appointed by the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to head the Tree Crops Development Authority as the Chief Executive Officer in September 2020. As the CEO, he has led the team to develop a 5-year strategic plan for the authority and drafted regulations to the Act establishing the TCDA, the Act 1010 of 2019, amongst others. He served as a member of parliament for the Akim Oda constituency from January 2013 to January 2021. He was appointed the Deputy Minister for Food and Agriculture in 2017. While in parliament, he served on the Committee for Food and Agric and Cocoa Affairs as a deputy ranking member. He was also the chairman for the Local Government Committee and then the Education Committees of Parliament from 2018 to 2021. Prior to joining Parliament, he worked with the Ghana Cocoa Board in various capacities and positions from 2006 to 2012. Honorable Kwetu has practiced as a marketing and business development specialist and has immense knowledge in the development sector, having worked with notable institutions including the USAID-funded Enterprise Works Ghana, Care International, OICI Food Security Program funded by the USDA, and the Council for the Scientific and Industrial Research of Ghana. Honorable Kwetu is here this morning to present to us what he has. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. May I request Honorable William Kwetu, the CEO of Tree Crop Development Authority, to deliver your address, sir.
Hello, good morning.
Very good morning, sir. We can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you. And thank you, Susan, for that elaborate introduction. Is it Vankat or you are, let me see if I can mention your name.
My name is Vatsa. Yeah.
Okay.
Recall
and thank you for.
Recall our meeting at the African Cashew Alliance meeting last year, where you have so beautifully described about your 5-year plan.
Right. Yes. Yes, I remember meeting you over there. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for wanting to know what is going on in the season for 2023. Very briefly, I would say that since the establishment of Tree Crop Development Authority, mandated to regulate and to develop 6 crops, cashew being one of the key crops that we are to oversee. We categorize all our challenges into immediate term, mid-term, and then long-term activities or resolutions that we want to give to our challenges. So in the case of cashew, the immediate challenge that was facing the cashew sector was pricing. There was always, let me say, a rift, disagreement between farmers and buyers over 10 years running. And so when the Tree Crop Development Authority was established, we sort of tried to resolve that problem first. We established in 2020, late 2020, that was September 2020. We really started work in 2021. And by the close of 2021, December, going into the 2022 crop season, Tree Crops has been able to establish a pricing mechanism. So we took a decision that we will always announce the prices on the 15th of December, because in Ghana the season begins somewhere around late December in some parts of the country. So on the 15th of December, if you announce, then those who have collected can easily go by the price that we have announced, and then they can sell their produce, the RCN. So 15th of December 2021, we announced the first price. That was 5 cedis per kilogram, that was 2021-2022 season. And this was, to me, readily accepted by both farmers and buyers. Throughout the season, we never had any area where the price went below the 5 cedis. People bought averagely around 6 cedis to 6 cedis 50 pesos for 2021-2022 crop season. However, when we came to 2022-2023, what we did was again announce the price on the 15th of December 2022, so to take effect for the season in 2023. Initially, when we announced it, those who were picking from around that time were reluctant to buy at that 8 cedis 50 pesos. But within a short time, by the middle of January, towards the end of January, people were already buying around 12 cedis and 13 cedis. But in some places, price went as far as 14 cedis per kilo. Why? Because at that time, the quality was good. The quality was around 51. The nut count was around 180. And then farmers were trying to dry their nuts within the stipulated rate of less than 10%. And so we're all happy. What we realized was that there were so many buyers on the field, and that is what, of course, was pushing the price up. And for farmers, we're happy. But I would say that in the second crop, this has not been so. Why has it not been so? It has not been so because initially, in January, thereabout to February, the number of buyers who were on the field were so many. And so competition was so keen that buyers were even following farmers to the farm gate to go and buy. And they were buying, I would say that they were buying cashew RCN that was not dry to the 10% moisture content. And they were going to dry it themselves. I would say those who were doing that were, to me, some of the small buyers, and complaints were coming, were advising the farmers to try and stick to the drying of the raw cashew nut to that 10%, but people will not allow them to dry. Buyers will not allow them to dry. And we kept advising them. Now, by the end of February, entering into middle of March, what we saw was that the price started dropping again. Why was the price dropping? It was so because those that I'll call one-off buyers. In Ghana here, people call them portfolio buyers. Portfolio buyer meaning that they hold their small bags, or they hold their small portfolios and then go around, buy one full truck or 2 trucks or some minimum tonnage. And then when they get that tonnage, off they go. And so we have seen that all these people of these small scale buyers or one-off buyers have bought what they need and they have left. The number of permanent buyers who are on the field buy now, and now because the competition was making farmers not to dry their raw cashew nut very well, farmers are still reluctant to dry up to the 10% discount, 10% moisture content. And so buyers are finding it very difficult. Buyers are finding it very difficult to buy RCN of about, say, 16%, 15% moisture content at the ACD 50% that the TCDA announced, because they are claiming that they have to do a lot of work on the nut that they buy. They have to find space to dry it before they package it for export. And so when they are not able to dry well, of course, they also do not attract the best prices on the international market. We, as an authority, we are trying hard to convince farmers to dry their crop, and then make sure that they also pick the bad nuts from it. In other words, they should clean the nuts so that the quality can go high for them to be able to attract this price that we have fixed, that is 80-50%. Because averagely on the international market, we see that price has not really changed. And besides, our exchange rate also did not change much, with the exception of this month where in Ghana, exchange rate has really dropped. So price, as we speak, for the second crop has reduced to about 7 cedis per kilo. And that is basically because farmers are not doing their work well. We encourage them to do the work well, in other words, to dry their RCN and also pick oily nuts and all debris from it, so that if buyers come to buy, they will know that yes, they are buying very clean and quality nuts. So that is where we are now in terms of the market. Now, when we come to processing, I would say that in processing, we have almost about 12 processing plants in Ghana. Some have closed down. I think about 10 are remaining. Some of them are a bit small in nature. That is, in terms of capacity, they are a bit small, and we need to build their capacity to be able to process more cashew. In all, the total capacity that we have can process up to about 55,000 metric tons, which is it forms about 37% of our total production. But I should also say that from last year to this year, statistics have shown that our total production has moved from around 150,000 metric tons to almost 200,000 to over 200,000 metric tons. So many of these processing plants need to be revamped, and at full capacity, Ghana can become a powerhouse for processing of raw cashew nut. What are we doing as a government or as an authority? You know, Tree Crops represent the government. So Tree Crop Development Authority, on our strategic plan, we want to increase processing by 4 main ways, or by 4 main strategies. We want to increase production of RCN, because currently the total production that we have in the country, if we really want to encourage processing, and then the processors are going to be buying or competing with the RCN exporters, we wouldn't have enough for the processors to buy. So there's a very serious or conscious effort to increase the production of raw cashew nut. And so we are giving, for the past 3 or so years, we are giving elite cashew planting materials free of charge to farmers for both intensification as well as extension of farms. By this, I mean I want to increase productivity per area, and at the same time, want to also increase the number of farms or acreages that we crop under cashew. Government, in our strategic plan, if we have the means, we also give subsidies to the processing plants or the processing factories. And I also want to look at the equipment that they are using. So most of them are not very, very efficient. So government intends to look at the efficiency of all machines, and if possible, maybe provide some services or advise them to be able to change their processing machines to get very efficient ones. Tax holidays cannot be overemphasized, in the sense that if you want more processing to go on, we'll have to give some tax exemption to these processors so that they can hire more hands, get more machines, and then they'll be able to pay their loans. Government may also assist where possible for recapitalization of some of these processes. In other words, what we find serious potential in any processor, the authority will work hand in hand with the processor and ensure that we get some capital injection into that processing plant. So basically, this is what we are doing. The intention, the overall intention in terms of processing is to increase from about the 10% that we are doing now to 50% of processing of our total production by 2020. Thank you so much. That is, sorry, by 2030. So by 2030, we want to have processing in Ghana hit about 50% of the total production that we have. At the same time, by 2020, production of cashew would have moved from about 180,000 metric tons to say 500,000 metric tons. So that if we are doing 50% of it, then it means that we are eyeing processing of about 200 to 250,000 metric tons of cashew in Ghana. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir, for a wonderful presentation, short and script. Maybe kindly stay with us as we finish off with the second presentation, and perhaps we can take a question. Is that okay, sir?
Yes, it's okay. I'm waiting.
Thank you very much. May I invite Mr. Foster Botang, Deputy CEO, to take us through the second presentation, which is the update on cashew crop development plan in Ghana. In the meanwhile, I request those who have joined in to put your questions regarding Ghana in the chat box so that we can take some of the questions after the end of this presentation. Over to Mr. Foster.
Thank you, the moderator, and thank you everyone for tuning in to listen to us. First of all, may I ask, hello?
Yes, please, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you, Susan.
Okay, I would like to go ahead and present the short bio.
Sure.
My network went off briefly.
My apologies.
Okay,
actually, I should have asked you to introduce Mr. Foster. I'm sorry.
Yes,
please go ahead.
Please. Okay, so Mr. Foster Boateng is a socio-economic development expert who has worked in agriculture development, public policy implementation, and advocacy for the past 30 years. His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Ghana, appointed him to the position of Deputy CEO of the Tree Crops Development Authority in November 2021. The TCDA is a state-owned enterprise established in 2019 by the government of Ghana through a parliamentary act of 2019 to regulate and develop the production, processing, and trading of 6 tree crops in Ghana, namely cashew, coconut, mango, oil palm, rubber, and shea in a sustainable environment. Mr. Foster was, also worked for AGRA for 7 years. In June 2014, he joined AGRA as Deputy Country Coordinator for the Feed the Future USAID-funded Scaling Seeds and Technology Partnership Program in Ghana. And in August 2015, he was promoted to Country Coordinator. Foster was appointed AGRA Country Manager for Ghana in 2017, where he oversaw the formulation and implementation of AGRA's Ghana Country Strategy for Inclusive Agriculture Transformation in Ghana. He was promoted to West Africa Regional Head in 2019, where he oversaw AGRA initiatives in 4 countries, Burkina Faso, Ghana, Mali, and Nigeria. Prior to joining AGRA, Foster worked in many government organizations, including the Ministry of Local Government and Ministry of Gender, Children and Social Protection as a National Program Coordinator for African Development Bank funded programs. He was the Country Program Manager for Self-Help International from 1993 to 2002, as well as the Project Officer for the Sasakawa Global 2000. Foster holds a PhD in Applied Agriculture Economics Policy, a master's degree in economics, and a bachelor's of science degree in engineering, farm power and machinery. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Susie, for the introduction. Mr. Coordinator, may I proceed?
Over to you, sir. Please go ahead.
Yeah. I guess everybody can see my screen. I'm trying to share a screen.
Yes, yes, we can see your screen.
Thank you. With this webinar, I'm tasked to speak to a topic on update on Cashew Crop Development Plan in Ghana. I'm trying to, okay, first. So first of all, I would like to speak to the context, why cashew and its relevance in our national development. And also I'll touch briefly, and I'll go straight forward to the strategies for cashew crop development in Ghana. In terms of context, may I say that why cashew? Cashew because it contributes to the country's GDP. In fact, if you consider cocoa, I mean, without cocoa, if you look at our GDP for 2018, it contributed about 13.69 in terms of agricultural GDP. So it's a very important commodity. And also, cashew has the highest non-export export earner for Ghana. So it's a very good NTE for Ghana. If you look at proceeds from export, hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Please go ahead.
Okay, good.
There was a crosstalk. Please go ahead.
If you look at the proceeds from cashew, from 2016 up to 2017, 2017 alone, we were able to rake in 271 million. And then if you look at 2016, from 2016 to 2017, it inched up considerably, representing about 53% in terms of all NTE subsector proceeds that we got. So it tells you that cashew is a very important commodity for Ghana in terms of its GDP. But the cashew sector has a huge potential. But as I say, we don't eat potential. So there's a potential to increase Ghana's share of the global RCN production. If you look at 2002, we're producing only 3,500 metric tons. Now we've managed to increase to 200,000 metric tons in 2022 over a period of, say, 20 years. But then the goal of the country is to reach 300,000 metric tons by 2030. In spite of the potential, there are huge challenges. And some of the challenges have been alluded to by the earlier speaker. Low productivity. Currently, our productivity, though, has increased, we are still around 0.8 metric tons per hectare, which we could do better. We have low processing capacity, as has already been mentioned, and profitability in terms of this business is questionable in Ghana. Poor access to finance cannot be overemphasized. Markets and technology has also been alluded to by the earlier speaker. Underdeveloped new businesses in the chain. For instance, we haven't explored the full potential of the value chain. We're still focusing more on RCN. And then there's suboptimal policy environment that is also affecting the industry. Initially, it was uncoordinated, but I think now, thanks to the government of Ghana establishing the Tree Crop Development Authority to regulate and review and make sure that all players play according to the rules of the game within the subsector. Now, I'm trying to show for the benefit of those from other countries where cashew is being grown. I'm not going to spend too much time on this slide. It's shown the green areas are the areas where we grow cashew. There are cashew production zones. The crop is grown substantially in the transitional area of Ghana. And it's not competing with cocoa when it comes to land, access to land. It's not competing with cocoa. Cocoa is concentrated in certain geographies. But then if you look at cashew, it's really spread out, right from the south, the middle belt, and also to the north. Now, for us, our plan is anchored on these three key visions. in the next 5 years, what we want to see? We want to see an enabling environment for the sector. We want to see a strong research and development that will bring competition and ensure sustainability in terms of production, marketing, and the like. And then also, we want to see a vibrant private sector, an efficient, vibrant private sector that will help to promote decent jobs for youth and women in the country. Based on this vision, we set out to create a traceable tree crop supply chain that can generate access to market, global markets, and that will give us a competitive edge. So in view of that, our strategy is more focused on strengthening the value chain actors and then making sure that we spend money and also invest in research that will bring the quality output and in terms of also providing farmers with the required planting materials that command genetic advantage. We also want to licensing and regulate the sector, as we have already been alluded to. Build capacity of the various value chain actors in terms of their governance structure so that we strengthen them and ensure that all players are playing according to the rules of the game. Now, coming back to that, our strategic focus is in 4 areas, as I've already been mentioned: research, sustainable production and value chain support, capacity building, and licensing and regulation. So our strategy focuses on these 4 broad areas. Now, let's pick the various challenges that I mentioned, the low productivity and production. What are the key strategies that we are putting forward in terms of a plan to address issues around low productivity and production? First of all, we want to ensure that we increase our yield from 800 kilos, that's 0.8 metric tons, to almost 1.5 metric tons per hectare. That is our key objective. And we can only do this thing through research, and so that research can come out with quality planting materials that command genetic advantage for our farmers. Then we also want to expand in production capacity of current nursery operators. So we want private nursery operators that we can train, strengthen, and regulate, because we now have a regulation that we have developed and is before Parliament. And once the regulation is passed, within the regulation, we've made provisions to really register and regulate all nursery operators so that whatever output they come out with may meet the standards that we are looking for. We also want to strengthen our PPRSD, an arm of the Ministry of Food and Agriculture that is supposed to supervise and certify nursery seedlings. And then, as part of our strategy to deal with low productivity, we increase farmers' access to quality seedlings. And I think the earlier speaker, the CEO, mentioned that we are providing seedlings to farmers. And from 2020 up to 2030, we are looking at almost about 20 million seedlings that farmers can access within a period of 10 years that can increase our production levels. And not only seedlings, but also other agro inputs and agronomic practices. We also want to facilitate farmers' knowledge, skills, and training capacity for all value chains. We need to really ensure quality right from production up to the table. So this is another area that we'll focus on so that we can enhance our production and enhance productivity and enhance quality. We are also looking at access to finance. I mentioned as a strategy, as a challenge. And what are our strategies? First of all, we want to ensure that this sector is appealing to financial institutions. And most financial institutions would like to have access to data and information about value chain actors. So TCDA, as an authority, has established a digital platform to register all value chain actors so that this information will make access to banks to assess them and pre-qualify them so that they can get some bankable projects to finance. And that is the heavy liftings we are doing for the bank to be able to have confidence in the sector and support the sector. We feel that long-term financing will be great for processors. And that is very, very important. And so as part of the work we are doing now, we've been able to solicit funding through the World Bank, where we are going to look at supporting working capital and CAPEX loans to Ghanaian-owned factories We really want to promote processing. As part of the promotion of processing, we also want to look at how we double consumption of cashew. That will create local markets and local consumption. Because currently, local consumption is around 3,000 metric tons. We would like to double it to 6,000 metric tons within a period of 6 years. So we need to do a lot of promotions, a lot of trade exhibitions to really promote the products within the country. Continuous improvement in efficiency and productivity of local processing will lead to cheaper processed nuts. So these are some of the things that we would like to continue to do. We improve the efficiency of production in terms of their processing equipment, their manufacturing processes, so that they can reduce the inefficiencies and enhance their profitability. We'd like to upgrade and empower local traders. As part of our regulation, we want to empower local traders so that they can buy from the farm gate instead of foreigners going to the farm gate. These are all been enshrined in the regulation that will soon be passed and be implemented. We want to also enhance traceability, because traceability is key, and that will really give us a competitive edge on the global market. And also infrastructure that can improve quality in terms of institutions that would ensure quality assurance, and then also fiscal infrastructure that can also support processing. Undertake new businesses in the value chain. As I said, we want to promote product diversification. If you look at the value chain, we focus too much on RCN. What about the apple? What about other byproducts? And so that is where TCDA, as a matter of fact, we want to focus more to bring more value to the cashew sector. And then we can reduce the export of RCN, rather add more value, because the more RCN we export, the more jobs we export. So we want to promote product diversification. Support research for byproduct processing. As I said, R&D is a cardinal principle for our strategy. How do we support the research to look at research not only into planting materials, but also into value addition, different products that we can churn out from the byproducts of cashew. Support innovation and technology for processing of cashew, apple, and other byproducts. So that's another area that we will try to promote. We'll be deliberate in trying to support innovations and technology through research institutions and also through private sector engagement. As I mentioned, initially, the subsector was not regulated. Everybody was doing whatever they need to do within the subsector. But now, thanks to the government of Ghana establishing TCDA, so addressing the issue of suboptimal policy environment, they've established a regulatory body, which is the Tree Crop Development Authority, set up by Act of Parliament, which the CEO has already mentioned. We now have a tree crop regulation, as I said, is before Parliament, and within the regulation spells out the rules of the game, and for all players who want to get into the sector. We are praying that these regulations will be passed, and that become our golden book that all of us will comply and follow through. Licensing and registration of value chain actors and operators. Within the regulation, everybody who wants to play the game must be licensed and regulated according to the tenets of the regulation that is yet to be passed. Then strengthen the governance structure of the Ghana Cashew Council. But we are actually going to strengthen the governance structure of all the value chain associations. But for the purpose of today's webinar, I'm focusing more on cashew because that is the subject for discussion today. So we want to strengthen the governance structure of the Ghana Cashew Council, because that's the apex body that really mobilize and coordinates its members within the subsector. We believe that when the structures are strengthened, we build a better system that can enable us to implement our regulation at the last mile. Trade governance and facilitation. This is an area that we will do as an authority in conjunction with other MDAs like Ministry of Local Government, Ministry of Trade, and Ministry of Science and Technology to be able to enhance access to trade, access to market through trade governance and facilitation. Currently, there is an agency under Ministry of Trade and Industry, trade and industry called GEPA, who has taken the lead, who is leading on that front. And TCDA will collaborate with them to ensure that we create better markets for our cashew. Establish and enforce traceable tree crop supply chain and market system cannot be overemphasized. I think this is a very important area that we are going to focus on. Currently, we have set up a digital platform, and that digital platform is going to be expanded to also do other traceability, work with the value chain associations to ensure that we address issues about social safeguards, environmental safeguards, and all other standards that are required by the global market. We make sure that our industry will comply. And so that's one area that TCD is going to focus very much on in terms of so that we can promote access to market. Now, I think I don't need to bore you too much about TCD. I think the earlier speaker has said something about that. We have a legal backing because we're set by Act of Parliament. And our mandate is to develop and also regulate this subsector. A number of tree crops, about 6 of them, he has already mentioned. We have a mission and vision, and our vision is to help develop and add value to the various tree crops and become competitive globally and more sustainable environmentally, socially, economically. Then for our vision, for our mission, we want to do this thing through, as I said, through research, capacity building, regulation, and in terms of also strengthening the value chains. Mandates, as I've mentioned, regulate and create conducive environment to grow the sector. Now, our governance structure, we have a governance structure. We have a board, and the board is made up of private sector people drawn from all the 6 value chains. They have 4 representatives on the board for all the 6 value chains, making 24, with also government appointing a CEO and a board chair to be on the board. So the board is heavily controlled by the private sector, and government has only nominated 3 people from Ministry of Food and Agriculture, Trade and Industry, and Finance to join. We also operate through our zonal offices. We have 6 zonal offices through which we do our last mile delivery to reach our target beneficiaries. Now, as I said, we have a tree crop regulation. Soon it will be passed, and then we will bring it to force. And all the issues confronting the value chain has been addressed in the regulations to be able to ensure that our players play according to the rules of the game. Now, just to give you a quick summary of our plan, what we intend to do, just a quick summary, a recap. We want to quickly socialize the regulations as soon as it's passed as part of our plan, so that everybody is on the same wavelength and understand what is in the regulation. We want to strengthen the governance structures of the cashew value chain and all the other value chains. And I've said this and time and again, that this is a very important thing that we need to do. We want to increase RCN production in terms of quantity and quality, so that by 2023, we hit about 300,000 metric tons. We want to facilitate dialogue between processors and producers. I think the earlier speaker spoke about the impasse between buyers and producers. We want to strengthen that dialogue. We want to ensure that there's always a smooth relationship between these 2 people. Support producers to improve on the quality of RCN. I think we've mentioned that already in his submission. One will be through giving them quality planting materials, giving them good agronomic practices, and ensuring that farmers and all producers associations have access to moisture meter to really understand the moisture content at which they are selling. Promote local processing of RCN. We have said that, and that's what we are going to focus more on, so that we can create the jobs that we are looking for our country, and then the food traceability for the value chain. Thank you for your audience.
Thank you very much, Mr. Foster, for a wonderful presentation in terms of taking us through what's in store or what we can expect from Ghana over the next 6 to 7 years. TCDA has been doing a commendable work, notwithstanding the fact that we had 2 years lost because of COVID. And mind you, this organization is started in 2019. and quite a lot of work has been done, and they are very, very ready with their plans. So thank you so much. Some of the questions what I thought was that we might lose some continuity if we move to Nigeria right away, as we still have time. Perhaps we can do a question and answer session with both our distinguished speakers before we move on to Nigeria. So I would pose some questions as I see from the chat, starting with the very specific question about the current season. Uh, uh, Honorable William, sir, what is your estimation of the crop size for the year 2023? And what is your assessment of the quality of the crop of the current season?
Thank you so much. I think that for 2023, looking at the seedlings that we have supplied, right from 2019 up to this time, and the fact that for 2022, we had an increase of about from 160,000 metric tons to roughly 200,000 metric tons. In other words, adding almost about 40,000 metric tons. I can see that maybe for 2023, we may go between 220 to about 230,000 metric tons, averagely. That is, we could have an addition of about 30,000 metric tons or more. That is what I see. Because at the moment, if we look at the export that we have done so far, we are around 172,000 metric tons. And I'm hoping that by the end of the season, we'll have gone beyond 200,000 metric tons, or exports coming from the production that we have had within the season. So for 2023, hopefully we can get beyond minimum to 220,000 metric tons, between 220 and 240,000 metric tons, I can say.
Thank you so much, sir. Any quick comment on the quality of the crop current year? You did mention about second crop
Yes.
being wet, but
Yes.
overall, in terms of the quality, because Ghana is perceived to have a very high quality in terms of KOR and others, but there has been a different perception this year. Can you please
This year,
assessment so far?
Yes, I think that this year, I would say that the number of buyers that came into the country to come and buy, when I visited the field, and we tried to have a quick registration of those who were buying, compared to the old list that we had. We saw a lot of new persons, new people buying from the field. And like my deputy just said, our regulation is such that buyers, in terms of buyers on the local market, are supposed to be purely Ghanaians. We are going to have aggregators and we're going to have traders. Aggregators can buy within a certain defined communities or district. They can't go beyond that. And then the traders will be registered to go beyond that district to go and buy from a regional level or whatever. And so all the foreign exporters and all exporters who purely look at the exportation of ICN would have to stay out of the local market centers and allow the traders and the aggregators to do their business so that they can stay in either Takrady, Tema, or Accra, or wherever, and have their warehouses to receive and then export. But currently, because we have not had our regulation, because we have not gone through with our registration system, everybody comes into Ghana with the permission to come and export, and yet they end up at the farm gate. And this is what this year was so exceptional with that. And this is what probably shot the price all the way to about 13 cedis or 14 cedis per kilo. And that also drove the fact that farmers were not even drying and cleaning their cashew. Next year, this thing wouldn't happen. In fact, already even within this year, for the remaining crop season, we have been to the field, TCD has been to the field, making announcements several times. And we have cautioned our MMDC, that is our district chief executives and the local government ministry, regional ministers, to also continue to impress upon our farmers to do the right thing. Farmers are supposed to dry up to 10%. That is the rule. And they are supposed to clean before they sell these nuts to the buyers. But because, to me, demand, people who were buying were so many, I mean, they were going to the field. I saw it myself. I went to the field. I hopped on a motorbike and I was going. I posed as a buyer, and people were on the farms ready to sell to me. And I said, why are you doing this when you are supposed to dry at 10%? You just pick the nuts. You have not sent it home. You have not done anything, and you are selling it. But yet people were ready to buy. So that is the challenge, and we are going to make sure that yes. And so we are going to make sure that we have people there who will be checking all these things. And then
thank you,
yes.
Thank you, sir, for the excellent response and the very clear about what your approach is going to be. I would come to you, Mr. Foster, just a minute. Like, no, I would. Okay, sir, you please go ahead. Mr. Foster, you have some comment on the same point?
Well, I not a comment. I was just adding to what the CEO said.
Yes.
About your question regarding the quality from the beginning and also the first season and the second season.
Yes.
As at the first season, we learned that out-10 quality was around 51 pounds in the initial. But then during the second season, it dropped to about 47. Because normally we've been around 47, 48. But initially it was around 51 from the information that we've gathered so far from the first season. We were opening season were around 51. And then during the second season, because of the moisture and all other things, quality has dropped to about 47. That's what I'll say for now.
Thank you. We have a very important question from one of the largest buyers of, or largest processor in the world, Uthai son of Longson. He's been saying that he has been buying from Ghana for quite some time, but of late he realizes that other origins are being sold as Ghana. This is a very important point. As TCDA head, as a CEO, like, what are the kind of safeguards? Because Ghana is also a kind of a trade flow center, so to say, for several other origins, because of its advantages from the point of view of logistics. So while keeping that intact, how do we, like, protect the integrity of Ghana raw cashews?
Yes, I think that the answer is simple. It is going to be through the registration and licensing regime. I think that next season, we'll start the registration very soon. From next season, if you are not a registered member to be an actor within that value chain, you cannot be there. You can't do business within the trading of cashew. So all farmers will be registered and known. All traders will be registered and known, and then they'll be given identity codes such that if you are buying and packaging on your juice sacks or whatever it is, your code will have to be there on it. So you may have to register your field buyers who also go to the field to go and buy for you with that same code. So traceability is going to be key in the registration process. So when we register and we give these code numbers, I think that anybody who is doing something with a virus will easily be identified. That is the intention.
Excellent, sir. Sir, I have one or two more questions. It's a personal question. Like, TCDA has gone about every aspect of policy making so meticulously well. You did mention earlier that, like, December 15th, you would announce, like, the minimum farm gate price and so on. From a policy perspective, can you give us some sense of clarity, like, or the position what Ghana would take when it comes to export tax or incentive through processes?
Yes, we have already, in collaboration with all these actors, developed a development levy for tree crops. You see, tree crops is a government-owned entity, but tree crops is supposed to be a self-financing authority. And in the act, the main source of income is levies, fees, and charges to the various actors. This year, we have made an attempt to let them understand that they have to start paying from January 2023. A number of them are not paying, and it is because we really don't have a hold on all of them because we haven't registered them. But again, a number of them who are in the country and who have been buying for a very long time and very known to us are all willing to pay this levy. So definitely levies are going to be charged, and it is incorporated in the pricing mechanism. You see, the pricing mechanism is such that the crop at the international level, the total price you get there in dollars is multiplied by the exchange rate, and then the amount is received. We discount our quality from 48 to about 46, and that is the pricing mechanism that we use. So all the activities is costed. Every activity from the farm gate right to the port where it is exported is costed. and this includes the levy. So this is generally accepted by the stakeholders and TCDA before it is announced on the 15th. You see, Cashew is such that there's usually a gap from June all the way to December. So within all this period, that is where we do this calculation, and it is validated by stakeholder meetings and everything, and accepted before the announcement is made. So when the announcement of the pricing mechanism is made, within it is the levy or the fees and charges that are to be paid by exporters, and that is usually will have to be accepted and paid by the exporters within the season.
Right. So a very early indication of the export levy is always useful for people to plan their purchases. Thanks for the clarity. Mr. Foster, you have some point. Please go ahead.
Yeah, I think my CEO has already mentioned that, but then let me also add that what we are also learning is that Ghana is the only country within the sub-region, I stand to be corrected, that we are not charging exports on RCN. So we seem to have a huge advantage. But then to protect the processes, maybe at some point we may consider putting a little bit of tax on RCN exports. And probably that will require the parliamentary action on that. We need to seek approval. But I think it's something that I know that probably is one of the long-term, medium to long-term strategy that we need to use to protect our local processes.
Thank you. Taking that as a lead for the next question, or the next part of the same question which I asked before, is the government or is TCDA contemplating any incentives for processes?
Yes, I think that I mentioned that. I mentioned that they may have some slight tax holidays, and we may also give them some incentives. I mentioned that as one of the strategies that government is trying to do in order to show up processing in Ghana.
Right.
Can I add something? You don't mind?
Yeah.
I think what he said is right, and also in our regulation, we're also providing opportunities for processors to reserve certain quotas for them to buy in terms of RCN for their inventory, so that they will have good inventory to process. They also have opportunity in terms of before trading is open, they can buy. There are some incentives within the regulation, if it's passed, that they may have. And I think, as he said, also in the area of supporting capex and working capital, and also trying to give them some tax holidays. Currently, some of them were talking about the fact that prices at the farm gate level is over the roof for them when it comes to processing. But believe you me, we cannot set up two price regimes for the same commodity. However, in the medium to long term, probably we may consider that they buy the same price, but they should show proof of their processing. And through that, they may get some tax rebates, or maybe get some incentives or a subsidy on the RCN that they purchase. And that has not come to pass. But these are some of the things in the pipeline being considered.
Thank you so much. I think I have exhausted all the questions, and thank you both for such a straightforward answer. You have, you have put the answers in proper perspective, and some of the challenges what you have already identified, and therefore, you have a ready roadmap in terms of some of these aspects, whether it is the question asked by Mr. Wu Tai Sen of Longsen in terms of protecting the origin's integrity, or the incentives for the processing. You have all the roadmap ready. And congratulations to TCDA and for your wonderful leadership. And we look forward to growing this partnership in future. Just hold on for a second, and be with us for the rest of the webinar. If there are more questions to Ghana, we will get back to you. But as I close the first part, we thank you once again for your presence, and we move to the next origin, which is Nigeria. Now it is my pleasure to just give a brief introduction about the two speakers from Nigeria who would share the perspectives about what is happening in Nigeria. Mind you, Nigeria is a very important origin, and they've also been doing significant processing locally, and they have been exporting quite a lot. But how has been this season when it comes to production, quality, as well as exports? To give us a complete perspective, it's my pleasure to introduce the first speaker, Mr. Ojo Azanaku, who is the president of National Cashew Association of Nigeria. He would talk about update on the Nigerian cashew season 2023 cashew development plan. Before I call upon him, a few lines of introduction about Honorable Ojo Azanaku. He's a visionary leader, commodity market export management consultant, founder CCOS Group of Companies, a conglomerate into agribusiness, logistics, production, and structuring productive relationship to build a successful business partnership with headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. He is a member of the Nigeria America Chamber of Commerce and currently National President of National Cashew Association of Nigeria, and has successfully unbundled the cashew industry in Nigeria, leading to an acceptance of Nigerian grown cashew in the foreign markets, which has eventually led to an increase in the exportation and production of cashews in Nigeria. With this introduction, it's our pleasure and honor to introduce the first speaker from Nigeria, Mr. Ojo Azanaku, the president of NCAN. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much.
You're audible, sir. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thank you. It's my pleasure having me here in your midst. I quite appreciate this webinar. I placed into my brother in Ghana counterpart, and West Bogu. I looked at what he's saying, and almost what we are having a similar event. What's happening in Ghana is just like same thing replicating itself here in Nigeria. But we are quite hopeful. We are very hopeful that we are taking a good dimension, and I think it's going to improve in Africa. If I may go ahead to give you the update of season here in Nigeria. In Nigeria, the season is very hopeful, though we have some challenges when the season started, because it started at the period that we are moving from one government to another in our election period. And so it brought us some setback, and we also have challenge with cashless policy, which also brought a set of setback for the season. But the season was a very promising one. The crops was a very good one. At the beginning of the season, we have 51, 52 KOR. In Nigeria, we have different states with some different quality, but the output of the areas that we have more attention, we produce more cashew. We look at Oyo State and Kogi State, those states. Those are the three major states that produce cashew in Nigeria. And they are doing quite very well. The crops is going up, but we are having pressure from foreigners present in the pool, giving them a lot of pressure. Not too good for us as a people. Distraction. So that is really giving us
Mr. President, there is a lot of disturbance actually. We couldn't. Yeah, we cannot hear you clearly. I'm sorry. The last 2 minutes, if you don't mind, can you repeat it again? We did hear till that you mentioned about the 3 regions which are important for cashew production. But after that, we lost you. Can you please start over? I'm sorry for the disturbance.
Okay, okay. So let me come up again.
Yeah, here it's a lot better. It's a lot better here. Thank you so much.
Okay, so
Now we
for
can hear you a lot better. Yes.
Okay, very good. Yeah, I'd said for the production of cashew in Nigeria, we have a very good output, a very good promising season. The crops, we are very good. We have 51, 52 KOR from some of the states, like the major cashew producing states in Nigeria, which is Oyo State, Kogi State, and Edo State, Kwara State. We have good output at the first season, but now the second season, normally the crops drop. No, we are talking about 47, 48 KOR at this time. But again, one of the major costs of this challenge is the presence of the foreigners at the farm gate. They put pressure on our farmers because our farmers have this fear that if these foreigners go, they might not get buyer for this commodity. And so they don't take care of the crop like it's used, like it's supposed to be. They are supposed to dry their cashew from the farm before bringing it out to the market. And we have been carrying out a sensitization workshop to let them know that it is important to dry your cashew from the farm gate to preserve the quality. And also, it is easier for you to dry your cashew in the farm gate than to bring it out and for aggregation center to dry. For instance, if you as a farmer, you are producing 10 bags, 10 bags, 20 bags from your farm, it is easy for you to dry than for an aggregator who is going to gather 500 bags, 600 bags to sun dry. That needs more labor and more ground to sun dry it. So, but for the presence of the foreigners in the farm gate, it's putting pressure and fear on our farmers because they don't really know if after their departure, they will be able to sell their product. But we are letting them know that that fear will be eliminated because Nigeria has gone a step ahead. We have promulgated a law. We have a federal government policy now which stop foreigners from coming to the farm gate. Reason being is to make sure that we preserve the quality and we don't allow the discouragement that is coming from that way. Again, but there are so many things we are working on as a sector. And there's a saying, he said, necessity is the mother of invention. We are looking at how we can increase processing in Nigeria. And we are taking it step by step. We have interest. Interest is building very high. We have people are building interest very high in processing the cashew in Nigeria. A lot of investors are coming into the sector after our Africa Cashew Alliance International Conference. Awareness grew here in Nigeria. And for that, we are taking advantage of that process to further enlighten our people. And we are organizing another international conference by November, which we call the Nigeria International Cashew Conference, to be organized by National Cashew Association of Nigeria in conjunction with other foreign partners that we'll be communicating to later. And again, we are trying to see how we build a synergy in this sector. Nigeria, we trust you to know that Nigeria has a lot of policies. We have different agencies, all for the interests of the private sector in Nigeria. And so we are taking advantage of this as an association because we are working with some development partners in Nigeria to see how we develop a policy that we integrate all the existing policies and to make it the business an easy one for everyone that will be in the sector. For those of them who are interested in coming or who want to invest in the sector, they should know what they need to do or what must be done for them to maximize profit in the sector. And so we are taking a step. We are discussing with agencies. We are also planning to have how we can see that we make the system easy for them. We want to have what we call a sustainable market information system, which we are going to have a center that will be called Nigeria Cashew One-Stop Shop, INCOS. We going to be domiciled in one of the agencies that we know has a presence all across the nation, such as Lagos, Abuja, and export zone we call Port Harcourt. That is the area we call it River State. So we are looking at a place where we can have a center that will make the business easy for everyone who is coming to you. But we are not being unmindful of the production, because if you don't have the farmers, you don't have the processors, you don't have the traders. So we are working on how to increase our production. We done a survey in the country. We have 109 senatorial districts in Nigeria, and we discover that 88 senatorial districts in Nigeria can produce cashew in commercial volume. So we are taking advantage of this, and we are working with the state governments in these areas to see how they come with interest. And so as an association, we are sensitizing all the states, and we are collaborating with all the states for them to build interest in seeing that we increase production. Also, we are very also interested in knowing the kind of product we are producing in Nigeria. Now we talk about certification to know the kind of product traceability or what is being produced and what is used in producing those cashew. Yeah, in Nigeria, our cashew in Nigeria is majorly organic, but now the world is looking into organic and inorganic product. But for what we have in Nigeria, most cashew farms here in Nigeria are white farms. Which means most of the farms are not owned by some persons. Our people just eat cashew in the bush and throw it away, and it becomes a tree, and somebody claims ownership. Anybody goes there and pick on it. So that is the kind of crops we have here in Nigeria. But we are thinking of a process where they are licensed and we now have. But some cashews are being introduced into the country, and we are also very careful to know where those cashews are planted and where they go to, where they come from. We even called for a time for us to know the origin and the source of what is being introduced to the country. Reason being that we want to know exactly what is going to be added to what we process, what we produce here in Nigeria. And if that is done, then we know that, okay. But for Nigeria cashew, majorly we have organic cashew in Nigeria because, like I said, the farms are majorly wide farms. Now, in Nigeria, we are looking at how we talk to investors to invest money in the sector. So we are working to see how the sector is de-risked so that investors who are coming to it will not have any fear of putting their money there. Our bankers will also not have fear of investing their money in this sector. So we are working on this. It's going to be part of the new policy that will be coming out shortly. We are working, like I said, we are working with different agencies to get this policy for the sector. Because we believe, as an association, like the going says, that government of the people, by the people, for the people. So policy of the sector, by the sector, for the sector. And they say, he that wears the shoe, though where it pitches in. We are also, as an association, talking to science and technology for them to see how they can get us some factory equipment. Like I do say, there is no any kind of transfer of technology, except it's just been the sequel of our transfer of technology. What we believe on is technology is either stolen or is bought. But we are believing that the science and technology in Nigeria can begin to think of how can they manufacture local equipment for us to process the cashew here in Nigeria. We We can start from the way, from the studies we've done about how Ghana started processing before they go into bigger processing now and the automated machine. They started from oven, using oven to process cashew. So, and now they're broad. So we believe that with our own peculiarity, like I said, necessity is the mother of invention. So let our science and technology work on that, which they are doing currently. We are doing research also to see how our cashew can produce from what we are currently producing with our natural crops here in Nigeria. The crops for an hectare, you are getting about 400, 500 maximum per hectare. We are believing that if we do a research, it can grow more than that. We are also talk with to see how we work on the soil, to see with the soil scientists, to see if it is soil that needs to be treated, what should we do to increase yield, but not for us to bring in pesticide or bring in inorganic fertilizers to boost the production. So these are the areas we are working on currently. And for now, this is what I can say. If there's any question from the meeting going on, I've been in a meeting, on the board meeting of Cashew Alliance. It will start today. We've been on that meeting. I just stepped out of the meeting to join here now. Well, after my speech, after the questions, I may have to join the board meeting again that is ongoing. Thank you very much for the audience given to me.
Thank you very much. That means, like, would you like to have some questions right now itself, or like, because it's, Mr. President, like, quick questions, 2 or 3 questions for you. Hello.
Yes, I can hear you. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, specifically for 2023, what is the production estimated in Nigeria? That's question number 1. You have mentioned about the average quality of the first crop as well as the second crop. Can you also share some information about the exports so far? That's the second question. And then the third question, which has come in the chat, is that you did mention about this organic. Are you referring to these farms being certified organic, or like, it is by default, like, organic, like, Over to you, sir.
Thank you thank you for the production, the volume of cashew that is expected of what you are producing. Let me quickly tell you here that we have challenge with statistics by getting the right statistics for what Nigeria is producing as a country. Now, as an association, we do a survey of our own. And how do we do this survey? We go to the states that are producing cashew through the Ministry of Agriculture to get information from what they grade. What is the quantity of cashew that was graded in each state? Now, when we do that, we discover that what was graded in the country was over 300,000 metric tons of cashew. And now we talk about what is exported. We are also working with the Nigeria Customs Services to know what is exported out of Nigeria. Then we can get the statistics of what we're actually producing in the country. For now, but we can't tell you exactly what the statistics are, but we believe that production is increasing in the country because of the interest that is building in the sector. Now, when you talk about the quality, like you said, the quality that I mentioned to you, the quality could be maintained from what we have in the beginning of the season or to the season. If we have good agricultural practices, if our farmers do what is right, which is going to be one of the law, one of the policies that must be followed, and to actually follow it, a lot of things needs to be done. The foreigners have to cooperate with us by remaining only in the export zone, while the farmers are allowed to take care of their products from their farms, because, like I said, there is fear. There is this fear of, if these people go, who will buy the cashew from us today in Nigeria? And for that, we are being seriously in processing, so that when they know that they have processors around, there will be no fear for that, of all those things. So I don't know. Can you remind me of the last question?
The second question is on the exports so far. How much has been exported of the current crop? If you have some details to share with.
Yes, what is exported out of the crop now? There is a policy in the neighboring country, and today, because of the ban on export of raw cashew nuts in the Republic, we have drops of importation of Benin Republic cashew in Nigeria going through the port. So that also has increased the export of cashew nuts in Nigeria. For now, what we think is that the project cannot be less than 40 to 50% of the total production as we look at it. But we still have a lot of cashew yet on ship now, which we believe that because of the transition that we have, because of the election that we have, that brings a lot of setback on the sector, because it collides with the cashew season in Nigeria. So for now, the export is maybe about 40%, like I said, has been exported.
Right. One of the fears Nigeria in the recent times is that the emergence of Cambodia. So there is kind of like, fear in the sense like, Vietnam used to buy most of Nigeria's crop. How do you see Vietnamese processors' participation this year in buying from Nigeria?
Don't forget that Africa cashew, especially Nigeria cashew, it's more preferable language in the Europe as a whole, and major buyers of Vietnam processed cattle are European. So they've not stopped dealing with us, even if they are producing cashew. And again, what Cambodia cashew is producing is not enough for the Vietnamese processing, because they are also increasing their capacity in processing. They used to do about 1,500,000 metric tons of cashew, but from the recent statistics, it shows that they are running up to 2 million metric tons of cashew, which means they will continue to need more cashew for processing. For Nigeria cashew, there's not been step back in Vietnamese participation in the exporting raw cashew from Nigeria to Vietnam.
I got it. So you're saying there is enough market, and therefore, Vietnam would continue to expand, and therefore, there would be a demand. Thank you very much, President. Please stay on as we go to the next speaker. We will listen to him, and then we will open up the questions from many of the delegates who have been very keen on interaction. Thank you so much. Please be with us for the remaining part of the session. With that, we will move on to the processing sector in Nigeria. Nigeria is always believed to be one of the most promising consumption market in Africa, at least after South Africa. So to talk about the present state of the cashew processing in Nigeria, challenges faced by the processor, and how to resolve the same, I now invite Mr. Onalian Victor Bukola. I hope I got your name right, sir. CEO, Chairman of the Cashew Processors Committee in CAN. Over to you, Mr. Victor Bukola.
Yeah, good morning.
Very good morning, sir.
Everybody.
I can hear you clearly. Please go ahead.
Okay, good morning, Mr. President, all our people from Ghana and Nigeria. I'm Olania Victor Bukola from the processing sectors in Nigeria, cashew processing. I happen to be the chairman cashew processor in Nigeria. Like looking at the situations of things in Nigeria, as per the processing of cashew nut is concerned, from recent development that we have from these sectors, we can see that we are seeing new investors, personal investors from Nigeria. They are trying to invest in cashew processing. But compared to the capacity of Nigeria in the production of cashew nuts, we are still lacking behind in the area of processing. We have to have gone far beyond this in the area of processing, but investors are not encouraged. There are a lot of factors that are keeping people back. I mean, investors from coming into investing into the processing of cashew nuts in Nigeria. So you can see compared to other countries like Vietnam, Indians, the numbers of processing plants that we have over there and compared to what we have in Nigeria is very low, despite the fact that we are very close to the source of quality raw material, despite the fact that we have one of the best raw material, we are the best producer of raw material in the world. We have good quality in terms of KOR. We still have problem in this area of investing in the processing of cashew nuts. So that's the current state of processing in Nigeria. Please, I want to move to the challenges that we have. We have so much challenges in the area of a shortage of skilled labor and trained manpower. And that's one of the major challenges that we are having in Nigeria in this area. Most of the investors in this sector that we have in Nigeria are not Nigerians. They are foreign investors. The Nigerians that we have that invest in the area of cashew nuts doesn't have the capacity in terms of capital to establish a mechanized factory. And this is giving us some a setback. And in the area of power, we have issues too. We don't have adequate power supply in Nigeria, and has been a major challenges to investors, because if you want to invest in cashew processing, cashew production, we need power, electricity. In an area where we don't have good electricity to power, it will be very, very difficult for investors to be run on diesel.
Hello, sir. We are not able to hear you properly. Can you come closer to the mic and?
Can you hear me clearly?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Sorry for the
no problem. Can you go a little bit faster also, so that we can have some questions? Yes.
Okay, okay.
Because we have read through
So,
these challenges, but core points, important points you can cover, like, you know.
okay, okay. We have some government policy that is affecting investors. The government policies, like the taxes, is also a major challenge from this area. So this has been discouraging a lot of investors that want to come into this sector to invest their capital, because we have series of these challenges that is discouraging. So in Nigeria presently, we don't have we are below 100 processing factory, both local and mechanized, which is a challenge to us. So, and looking at some remedies is for the government to give us a policy that will encourage cashew processors, that will encourage investors to come into these sectors. So investors need to be encouraged, and they need encouragement to establish and the construction of cashew processing plants. We need encouragement from the government in these areas too. And in terms of tax, the government should work on that to help the investors that are planning to come into this section, to this sector. So the government needs to look into the area of power supply to help the investors to be able to enjoy the benefit of power supply to make them come into these sectors. Another thing is a lot of people think cashew nut is a luxury nut and it's meant for the rich. So it's keeping them back from coming into these sectors of patronizing. And the area of market too is a challenge in which the investor in these sectors presently need the intervention of government to intervene. So in my conclusion with this viewpoint, I think if all these points can be looked at, it will go a long way to help our investors to come into these sectors. So thanks so much. These are the little points I can give to my people from my observations. Thanks so much. Thank to everybody. So if there's any questions or
Thank you very much.
questions.
Thank you very much, Speaker, Mr. Wanalia Victor Bakola. One quick question, like, you know, you very nicely articulated the challenges. Now that we have the president and can also, what new government is in place? You talked about a cashew policy for Nigeria.
Yes.
How soon can we see a cashew policy?
Thank you. Let me answer the question, Victor. Now, the Nigeria cashew policy have been on, and we have engaged an international consultant, and we have also the process of engaging a national consultant. Like I said in my speech, the policy sector, by the sector for the sector, we are taking an holistic look of it, and we believe that this current administration might not be able to give us the policy before leaving because they don't have time now. They are already transiting.
Okay.
Since we have a new elected, yes, so it will be by late this year, maybe before our national cashew conference is coming up by November.
That's an excellent news. That's a very positive news. Like, you know, maybe that's one of the reasons for people to come to Nigeria in November. Where is it going to be? It's in Abuja or Lagos?
Yes. Abuja. It's going to be in Abuja. Reason being because of the transport system and for security for the investors who would be investors coming to Nigeria. So prefer to choose Abuja.
That's very, very good. I must thank, Mr. Victor Bukola for capturing all the challenges, whether it is shortage of labor or the challenges of electricity or the access to finance issues. And I hope most of these issues will be addressed through a comprehensive policy with the help of our very able president, Mr. Rojo Azanaku. Thank you so much, Ncan, for your presence and sharing with us what is the update. I now open the floor for questions. There is one question which I have to ask to both Nigeria as well as our dignitaries from Ghana about the support to civil society organizations in either farming or women empowerment, local processing, and so on. This is a question from Ms. Angela Williams. So maybe our friend from Ghana can take this first, and then I'll come to Nigeria. Is that okay? Honorable Williams, sir, you're there?
Yes, I am.
Yes,
I am.
Yes, sir.
Can I get a question again? Empowerment of women.
What is the support in your policy in Ghana you plan to give to these civil society organizations which work very closely with the farmers, women, and others to enhance production, productivity, and also local processing?
Right. So I would say that we have collaborative initiatives with most of these civil society organizations. So when they come and they say that this is the group we are working with, these are their needs. So we will look into our strategy and see where we can give them some support. A typical example that I can give is the distribution of early planting materials in almost all the 6 crops that we have considered first and foremost such organizations. You see, they are a recognized organization and they are working with some group. And so when they come to tell us that, look, this is the group we have, we just go verify and then we supply them those free seedlings to the organization, to the civil society organization for their members. After that, we also give them some extension services. Once they request for it, we give them some extension services. A typical example is the Presby Church in Ghana here. They are doing a number of tree crops. In fact, they have an agricultural or farming wing of the church, and they are in various districts in this country. So the mother church, that is the Presby head office, they have an agri director. He applied, and then they have their women groups and the men groups. They applied for mango, they applied for coconut, and they apply for oil palm, and then cashew. So for 2020, 2021, in all the seedlings, free seedlings that we're supplying, we give them some of these seedlings for them to plant. And we don't end there. We connect them to giving extension officers in the area who can assist them in all other agronomic practices. So it is something that we do. In terms of like financial support, we have not done anything on financial support yet, but I believe that if we have the means to do it, we'll do it, because so far what we have had to distribute for free is the seedlings that I'm talking of, and then of course free, let me say free knowledge in terms of extension services. So we provide all these things. Any other thing that we have on our sleeves and we want to give it out, we do consider, I would say that we do consider civil society organizations a lot. That's what I would say.
Thank you, CEO, for the excellent response. Over to Mr. Foster. You have some point on the same issue.
I think, just as William has said, I think that is it. But then we collaborate a lot with them, especially if you look at our mandate and our vision. We want to look at sustainable development of these tree crops. And so when we talk about sustainability, we are looking at social safeguards. And this also traces back to the traceability issues on the global market. So we have been collaborating with them, especially if you look at our social safeguards, we look at our environmental safeguards.
Mhm.
Probably may not be in cashew, but even in shea and other commodities. We
Mhm.
are trying to look at other environmental sustainability and landscape restorations, which the NGOs are very good in terms of advocacy and preparing the farmers. So we have
Okay.
been collaborating with them. And even during our strategy, during our stakeholder mapping, they play a key role in trying to map up our stakeholders who we're supposed to work with. So that's what I'll add to what William said. Thank you.
That's amply clear. Thank you so much. Over to our friends from Nigeria, President NCAN, Mr. Ojo Joseph Ajanaku. Over to you, sir. What is that you are currently doing or you plan to do to take the support of civil society organizations to engage with them, like, in the cashew sector?
Thank you very much. What we do currently in Nigeria as an association, we work with the agencies like I mentioned for you. For instance, you have Raw Material Research Institute. This at last year, they gave out 65,000 seedlings for free. Now, we also work with the Federal Ministry of Agriculture and Rural Development Department of the FDA. They distribute a lot of seedlings. The one that pass through us because we go to state by state to distribute. Almost over 1 million was distributed. And so this is what we do. And also we are working in partnership with the processors that we have here in Nigeria to have extension services to the farmers. We have cooperative bodies within our system. Why we have them is to enable us to link them up with the processors that are close to them, thereby having product, making a product easy for the processors to get. And if they extend extension services to them, they become one of their own. So as an association, we encourage that. Yeah, for funding, what we are doing, like I said, we are trying to de-risk the sector. You know, the commercial banks are there to maximize profit. They will only invest in the sector where they feel that their money will return back. So we are working and seeing that how can NCAN become a body that will stand as a guarantor for people, for those people that needs to be guaranteed. We have NISA in Nigeria. It's a firm, a bank called NISA in Nigeria. It's in charge of guarantee to the risk, to guarantee the funding for agricultural sector in Nigeria. So we had a meeting and we have a Nigeria Export Promotion Council. A lot of agencies, like I said, we are in talk with many of them, and we are seeing how we can make funds cheap for the cashew sector in Nigeria. That is the reason why we are going to have the Nigeria Cashew one-stop shop, where you come in and get all the information that you need to know about the sector in Nigeria, how you can benefit from the policies of the government. There's tax break for processors who come to the sector, but many of them don't know, except to go to the Federal Ministry of Industry, Trade and Investment. There's a department called IDD, Investment and that's a development area. Those are the ones that will give you the information. But if you don't know where to go, you won't know what is available for you. So as part of our services, we give them the right information. And for those of them who care to come to us, we show them what they need to do and where they need
Thank
to
you.
do. This is what we do currently as an association.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. There are very specific questions addressed to Nigeria. I would request your quick response, sir. Is there certified organic cashews, raw cashews exported out of Nigeria currently? Just yes or no, if it is happening, but there was a query in the chat box.
Yes, there is. There's a firm we call, there's an organization called NISA, working in collaboration with a processor like you talk about a Balancy, you talk about a Sodata.
Okay, thank you so much. Maybe some Sure. Somebody has asked for more information on that. I think your team can help them with that
Yes.
information on the chat box. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Emmanuel is waiting for some time to perhaps give a comment on that. Mr. Emmanuel, can you unmute and be brief, sir?
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much. And thanks, Mr. Foster and Mr. Williams, for the update that you have given. My question was that when you're doing the season, you see, we find out that there are a lot of foreigners are going to the farm, as they mentioned the first time. What measures are they put in place? And when is the registration going to start? And the offices that, at least if one wants to register to become a Cashew member in Ghana, at least where will be the offices? And two, I want to know that they should give an assurance that they're not going to politicize this, that they make something that will help the farmers. Because when you go to the farm grounds, you see that the farmers are very suffering. They're suffering much. So what measures are they put in place for the farmers, for them to enjoy, and at least so that they can produce much crops for us? Thank you very much.
Yes, Mr. Foster, you wanted to respond to that. Quickly, sir, be brief.
Thank you, Emmanuel. I must say that we are putting in place a digitalization system where we don't need to have face-to-face interaction for registration. However, we have our zonal offices set up across the country. Currently, we have an office in Kumasi that if you want to quickly register, we can also share with you information where you can contact us and if you want to register. But as soon as the digitalization is done, we are going to get everybody registered. Now to the farmers and about politicization. No, we are a regulator. We are neutral, but we want to ensure that both the producer and the processor and the buyer are all competing in a more competitive way so that nobody is shortchanged. So we are not going to involve in any political shenanigans, but we are going to ensure that everybody plays according to the rules of the game as a regulator and as a referee. That one I can assure you.
Yeah, Spencer, if I may add,
Yes, sir.
we did say that we have a 29-member board, 24 are from the actors themselves, and the composition is this: 2 farmers, 1 small-scale farmer, 1 large-scale farmer, 1 exporter, and then 1 processor. These persons from the various crop associations are elected. They do their campaign with fixed time for them, and then they go for their meetings and elect them. And so usually you may have 2 or 3 or 4 people contesting for maybe for the processors. You may have about 2 or so people contesting for the position, and they vote and elect somebody to be on the board. The board members are supposed to serve for a term of 3 years and for a second term of another 3 years. So no board member can be there for more than 6 years. So these are the regulations, or these are the tenets of the act. So there's no politics in this. The only, like we said, the only political beings that may be on the board at any point in time will be the representative of probably the representative of the Ministry of Finance, Ministry of this, but for now, even all those who are there are technical people. There is no deputy minister or something who have some political inclination. So that is how it is. No politics in tree crops. Farming doesn't or cannot thrive on politics. That's what I have to say.
Absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for the clarity. Again, as we have been seeing all through this webinar, Ghana has done quite a lot of preparation and thought through the entire process of development, and that's reflected in every aspect of the policy. I'm sure, what they have set for themselves, they would achieve that, and they would even surpass that with the support of the Ghanaian farmers and the stakeholders, and also the external world. Thank you so much, sir. I just wanted to, allow another 5 more minutes if there are any questions. As I was going through the chat box, one question which comes up again and again when it comes to Nigeria is on the peelability. Has it improved, or do we still have challenges when it comes to peelability of raw cashews when processed in Nigeria or outside? A quick response I need from one of the speakers from Nigeria.
then it has improved. The processing, the fillability has improved because we are now introducing some of the crops, like the crops you have in a particular area called Obamosho, that is Oyo State.
Yeah.
So we have tried to introduce it to other parts of the country. And again, like I said, we are trying to make sure that our farmers adopt good agricultural practices. If the cashew is dry, immediately it is harvested, you will have easy fillability.
Right.
So
Maybe
it's
like,
improving.
on this issue, I should have the best person who is the buyer and the processor. Mr. Tyson, you are here. A quick comment on, because you buy a lot of Nigeria. What has been your experience over the years, sir? Mr. San, can you hear us? Because he is one of the largest processors, or anybody from Valency, maybe like, they are processing. So, yeah, Mr. Butaisan.
Yes.
Thank you very much for your presence. Like, it's so nice to see you. You are the largest processor in the world. We are talking about peelability of Nigeria. Has it improved in the recent years? What has been your experience?
Well, I think every year we process about maybe 25,000 tons of raw cashew nut from Nigeria. And we have to change method to oil bath roasting. If we do steam roasting, then it is difficult for peeling. But if we do oil bath roasting, like what the Brazilian people is doing,
okay,
then the peeling is much better. That's all.
Oh, that has been your practical observation.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your feedback. That is indeed very valuable. It's from the person who is processing about 25,000 tons of Nigeria. So there is a problem, but there is a solution as well. That's a very good thing to hear. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there any more questions, or we will close the session, and I'll invite Mr. Adesida to present the vote of thanks. If there are any questions, 1 more minute. Or I would do this way, as we wait for the final question, we have very, very distinguished persons today, for the webinar. A quick closing remark from each one of them would be the most appropriate one. With your permission, may I start with Honorable William Cueto, CEO, Tree Crop Development Authority. A quick final comment from your side, sir.
Thank you, Coordinator. What I would say is that cashew in Africa has a big potential. We can make it become even bigger than cocoa. And if you look at those who produce cashew, I think that African production put together is more than 50% of what the whole world produces. And so I think that it is about time that we work hard to sanitize and synchronize all the activities that we are doing, so that we'll reap the benefits there is in cashew. So for us, Ghana, once Tree Crop Development Authority is established, we want to work hard to become as big as the Ghana Cocoa Board as it is known in the world, and we will not leave any stone unturned. I want to assure all our actors that they should have the hope and belief in Tree Crops Development Authority that, yes, we'll live up to our mandate, that is regulating and developing the sector, particularly in this case, cashew. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Regulation and development going hand in hand. A very powerful message from the head of the Tree Crop Development Authority. Mr. Foster, any quick concluding remark? Short, crisp.
My concluding remark is that we will make sure that we will not export jobs. We will create the jobs in-house by supporting our processes. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That's crisp and clear. Thank you so much. Over to our friends from Nigeria, starting with the president of National Cashew Association of Nigeria, Mr. Rojo Prince Ajanaku. A quick concluding remark from you, sir. Are you there? Mr. President, kindly unmute. Yes,
Okay,
sir.
thank you. Yes, thank you. I want to thank every one of us for creating time to be here in this webinar today. But to say to my African colleagues that we are going at a very good speed, considering the time, if we take our independence period into consideration, and if we take when cashew is discovered to be for a commercial commodity in Africa. So I think we should keep on the pace and have the faith that we'll do well. But we have to work hard to see that what needs to be done is done. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And final word from our last speaker, Mr. Olania Victor Bukola.
Yeah, thank you. I really want to appreciate everyone that attended this webinar today. In the area of cashew processing in Nigeria, I think if all our points can actually be considered, Nigeria is going to move forward in the area of processing, and we will be able to join our other colleagues from every part of the world to be one of the best producer, the best processor of cashew nuts in the world. So thanks so much. I really appreciate everyone for this
Thank you.
webinar.
Thank you
God
very much.
bless you.
Thank you. Now to present the vote of thanks, we have just 5 minutes to conclude. To present the vote of thanks, it's my pleasure to invite Mr. Adadamola Adesida. Is a marketing system development and sustainability professional with over 12 years of experience in facilitating sustainability impact across tree crop value chains such as cashew through strategic and technical management services. Mr. Ade supports local agricultural enterprise in developing robust management systems, which continues to address systemic marketing constraints around ensuring transparent traceability systems. Ade is the National Executive Secretary of the National Cashew Association of Nigeria, NCAN. He is also the technical board member at Conservation Alliance Development Initiative, CADI, a non-profit biodiversity organization. Ade believes biodiversity conservation will lead to economic growth and improved human well-being. With this introduction, it's my pleasure to introduce the presenter of vote of thanks, Mr. Adadamola Adesida. Is he there? Are you there, sir? I think we have some technical challenge. I think he is not able to join. Okay, on his behalf, let me take the pleasure and honor of thanking each of our speakers on the 2023 Trade Talk Series 1 on the virtual Ghana and Nigeria Cashew Forum 2023. I take this opportunity to thank Honorable William Cueto, CEO Tree Crop Development Authority, for his presence and clarity, and also the support which he is ready to provide to those who are interested in engaging with Ghana. Joining him in the presentation and sharing with us the vision for the next 6 to 8 years is Mr. Foster Botang, Deputy CEO of the TCDA. We thank you, sir, for your excellent articulation of what is in store for the next 5 to 6 years in addressing some of the challenges in terms of low productivity, increasing the processing capacity, and increasing the domestic production from 3,000 tons to 6,000 tons of cashew kernels and so on. Thank you very much for our distinguished speakers from Ghana. And then I also put on record our special thanks to the President of National Cashew Association of Nigeria, Mr. Ojo Prince Janaku, and Mr. Olania Victor Bukola, the Chairman of the Cashew Processors Committee of NCAN, for for the clarity in which they proposed what is that which is planned for Nigeria. We are soon going to have a national policy for cashew in Nigeria. And also, like, two important highlights what I took from the president in Cannes is there is going to be a Nigeria International Cashew Conference in Abuja in November. By then, they would have the national cashew policy. And in the meanwhile, Nigeria Cashew One-Stop Shop is aimed to addressing almost all the constraints which have been outlined by our second speaker. Thank you so much to all the delegates who have registered and took time and being a part of this entire conversation. Special thanks to Mr. San for his valuable input as always, and thanks to each and every one of you for being a part of this. Hope this initiative was useful in understanding about these two important origins and also some kind of a networking, whatever possible within the online world. We will keep the online platform open for the next 10 minutes. You can continue your networking and thereafter we close. Thank you so much once again, and have a great evening and a great season ahead. Thank you.
Thank you.
Draw contact for there, draw contact then. The B2B, go to that point for the B2B.